the United States government has shown little will to investigate what happened on the ground in Gaza.
From white phosphorus raining down on civilians, missiles dropping on schools, mosques, and shelters, to the violation of U.S. law under the Arms Export Control Act and other U.S. weapons agreements with Israel, Congressman Dennis Kucinich, along with other human rights groups, revealed their findings and recommendations of Israel's 22-day assault on the besieged Gaza Strip.
What we saw was, one, the use of indiscriminate weapons, and two, oftentimes at close range, there were precise attacks on civilians. We know, of course, about the white flag killings when Palestinians were holding up white flags and yet they were still targeted. These are examples that, rise to the level of war crimes, and they should be investigated.
A social worker told me that Ahmed was among the 9 civilians left with the bodies of his mother and his 3 brothers for 4 days. And when they rescued him from the home, he was mute for an entire week.
During Israel's military assault on Gaza, Congressman Kucinich was among some of the very few lawmakers on Capitol Hill who voiced their opposition to the assault, and remains a pioneer in holding Israeli officials accountable for violating national and international law. What role can Congress play in pressuring the administration to open up those borders?
Well, I think that as time goes on, the Israeli government will realize that it's going to need to have cooperation from the United States, and an area of cooperation would be the opening of the border at Rafah, certainly, and other areas which have instead been choke points instead of places of communication. We have to make sure that the Palestinian people have the ability to survive.
The panelists are suggesting 3 recommendations to the Obama administration and members of Congress. First, to open up the borders along Israel and Egypt leading into Gaza with an increase of humanitarian assistance. Second, accountability and oversight into Israel's 22-day assault on the Gaza Strip. And third, to review Israel's use of American weapons in violation of the Arms Export Control Act. The panelists proposed the Israeli government cooperate with an international independent commission which would explore Israel's use of illegal weapons or use of legal weapons illegally on civilians and civilian buildings.
And that makes the need for an impartial international investigation even more necessary.
The probe into both Israel's 22-day assault on Gaza and Hamas's involvement will be a 4-person fact-finding mission led by former South African judge and international prosecutor Richard Goldstone, and would examine possible war crimes and serious human rights violations before, during, and after the conflict. The panelists said they will continue to pressure the Obama administration to consider their recommendations to ensure civilians are not killed on a vast scale as seen during a war unlike any other in human history. Jehan Hafiz, Press TV, Washington.